Schauen wir mal, was er sagt.
And nobody talks about the dark side of self-improvement until it's too late. And I learned the hard way. So today I'm going to share with you what I did wrong and what I did to fix my mistakes. Because if I
Aus seinem eigenen Werdegang. Weil ich weiß immer noch nicht, ist der Psychopath? Ist der Psychologe? Ich weiß es nicht. Ich habe keine Ahnung, was er macht. Er scheint auf jeden Fall Ahnung zu haben von dem, was er redet. Sonst könnte er nicht so darüber reden, weißt du? Das respektiere ich. Aber kein Peil, deswegen interessiert mich jetzt, wenn er jetzt darüber erzählt, wie es ihm ging auf diesem Weg der Erleuchtung. Hören wir mal rein.
can save even one person from years and years of misery, then this video will be worth it. You see, there's a big difference between the Eastern mind and the Western mind. In a place like the US of A, for instance, we're all about discipline, hard work, do more. That is our culture. Get a second job, work longer hours. We're focused on doing. And if you don't feel like it, well then you're just being a little wuss. So make me get out the swords. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with trauma from England and the kings and stuff like that. But we kind of have a little bit of a slave mentality. Force yourself to do the things you don't want to do. And if you don't want to do it anyway. With Eastern philosophy, for instance, like Zen Buddhism, Wu Wei, I think, Wu Wei, they seem to be more focused on being. And what this does is it sets you free. Now, this life is a journey of self-discovery. And on this journey, there is two paths. There is the external path and the internal path. The external path is the path of self-improvement. The internal path is the spiritual journey, the spiritual path. Now, before I continue, in order to become a master of the universe, you must learn to bend all four elements: earth, fire, water, and air. If you are not able to handle these energies, they will cause problems in your life. And wherever you're imbalanced, that is your purpose. And here was my problem.
Ganz wichtig, dass er sagt, woher er kommt und nochmal aufzählt, dass es Unterschiede gibt. Die USA ist wirklich für sich das quasi Zentrum der westlichen, das Zentrum des Westens. Und dann im Kontrast hast du Asien. Und genauso wie er das aufzählt, hier ist es auch. Dazwischen hast du Europa und die sind einfach gemischt, als hätten die keine eigene Identität. Darüber hast du nochmal einen Teil Asiens, der aber nicht zu Asien wirklich gehört, sondern mehr zu Russland. Und die ganzen slawischen, wenn wir uns die Weltkarte jetzt so angucken, dass USA links ist, China, Japan und die richtigen Asiaten rechts. Diese haben auch ihre eigene Kultur, die mehr so geprägt ist von, sagen wir mal, Kommunismus. Da müssen wir nicht politisch werden, aber ich glaube, jeder versteht, wenn ich das sage, was ich damit meine. Und wir sind halt in Deutschland, Europa, eigentlich nur am Zugucken. Weil von der eigenen Identität hier kriege ich überhaupt nichts mit. Die ist komplett verfälscht. Dazugehören tue ich sowieso nicht. Nirgends. Aus meiner eigenen Sicht ist sowieso schwer. Ich versuche aber natürlich dazu zu gehören und trotzdem ich sehe die Schwierigkeiten und könnte mich in die Schuhe der Europäer versetzen. Schwer. Ja, sehr wichtig, dass er das sagt. Weil du hast diesen Standpunkt, du hast dieses als Basis.
Naturally, for whatever reason, biologically speaking, I am a water being. That is my dominant personality. And so, what I discovered, well, the external path of self-improvement is the masculine path of earth and fire, whereas the internal path is the feminine path of water and air. And whatever energy you are dominant in, that will determine your weaknesses and your strengths. So me, as a water being, trying to force myself to go on this path because of the society I grew up in, because of my culture, it was like running an uphill battle, always struggling. It wasn't comfortable. I didn't like it. I didn't really have any success. Now,
Genau darauf kommt es gerade an. Das habe ich gemeint damit. ohne dass ich gewusst habe, jetzt auf was genau er hinaus will. Genau so ein Punkt. Du bist intern was anderes, als wie du extern getrimmt wurdest, zu funktionieren.
Now, it wasn't all useless. For instance, exercise was the foundation of my life, Earth, and that helped sustain me on my journey. So the first thing you want to discover is your dominant energy. So first things first, we all know the yin yang. Is your energy focused, external or internal? Are you more of an extrovert or an introvert? That will determine which side of the equation your energy is dominant.
Okay, ich weiß nicht, was ich bin, ganz ehrlich. Ich kann beides gut. Ich fühle mich besser als Introvert, aber ich habe Extrovert gelernt, einfach um zu überleben. Ja, ich glaube, so funktioniert. Ich glaube, ich bin auch Introvert, aber ich habe extrovertierte Skills. Gute extrovertierte Skills. Sonst würde ich nicht hier auf Twitch. Aber gleichzeitig kann ich das auch nur, weil ich hier alleine daheim bin. Und ihr seid alle nur Internet. Weißt du, was ich meine? Ist eine gute Frage. Was sind wir? Fragt euch das mal selbst. Was denkt ihr?
And this is the key. This is the first step. Because if you're an extrovert trying to go the inner path, before you have developed your strengths, you will experience suffering and struggle. And if you are an introvert trying to force yourself through the external path, you may suffer and struggle. Now, it's not so black and white. We're all going through both paths at the same time. But which path do you prioritize? If you're an extrovert, your dominant energy will either be earth or fire. And if you're an introvert, it will either be water or air. You know the fire types when you see them. They are like fire, quite aggressive, perhaps loud, probably has problems with anger. You know the water types when you see them. Cool, laid back, chill, relaxed. You can tell the air types when you see them. Timid. Let's do this. Now we all have all four elements. And here are the general characteristics. Grounded, practical, reliable, stable. You might say patient, hardworking. They can be stubborn, disciplined. And lastly, we'll do realistic. Take a gander. I'm afraid I've run out of space. What are water types? Go with the flow. Adaptable, maybe a bit emotional, perhaps sensitive, reflective. How about nurturing or compassionate? Perhaps moody. These are the two primary elements, the primary extroverted element and the primary introverted element. A gander. Take it. I encourage you. We need some kind of personality test for these things. Now let's do fire.
Das ist voll gut.
Some examples. Expressive, outgoing, social, energetic, that's for sure. Passionate, oh yeah. How about enthusiastic? How about bold? Not bald, bold. But they sometimes can be bald. Perhaps charismatic. Here's a bit tricky one, but we'll throw out some examples. How about curious, like a little rabbit? How about detached? How about open-minded? Seems fair. How about idealistic? Air is associated with spirit, ideas. How about observant? Why not? Flighty. That's a good one. A bit unreliable. The opposite of earth. Likes freedom. Why not? The secondary masculine element and the secondary feminine element.
Ich glaube, ich habe von allem was außer, also von Feuer sogar auch, aber am wenigsten von Feuer. Am meisten von Wasser. Ich glaube, meine meisten Punkte sind Wasser, dann Erde, slash Luft und dann Feuer. Ja, sowas um den Dreh.
Air is the most feminine of all. Earth is the most masculine element. Water is neutral. Fire is a balance between masculine and feminine. Intuitively, you will kind of understand who you are and what your dominant energy is. All we need to know is a general idea. You see, life is all about using our strengths to develop our weaknesses. So we want to go all in on one path or the other. We either need to go all in on self-improvement or spirituality. Once you find success in either one, you will begin the secondary journey and use it as your primary path. So for instance, what I realized is that I was working against my energy, my natural tendencies. The moment I embarked 100% on the spiritual path, that is when I found success. And now here I am, mastering the path of earth and fire, because I'm very good at water and air. I have developed my strengths to such a degree where I have achieved some level of mastery on the spiritual path. But my weaknesses, earth and fire, need work. So I use my strengths to develop my weaknesses. And what you will find is that once you master the self-improvement journey, you will want to go within. On the self-improvement journey, the end result, how you know you've beat the game, is an abundance of worldly success. So you get all the money in the world that you need. You get your dream relationship, basically your dream world life. One obvious example is someone like Andrew Tate. He beat the game. All the worldly success. Now, you don't have to be like that at all. Your journey is unique to you. But the point is, you will be living your best life. Now, on the spiritual path, what you will receive is an abundance of inner riches. When you find God, you will experience everlasting peace, joy, love, and freedom. Freedom from suffering. Now, I encourage you, since you're probably on this path, if you're watching the channel, wherever the momentum is, go with that. Don't try to work against the momentum of your energy. And there will be seasons for this and for that. There will be some seasons that require you to go out into the world and do things. And there will be seasons that require you to learn how to just be, surrender, relax, let go. For instance, when
Ganz kurz. Ich finde es immer gut, wie er Gott mit reinfiddelt, weil er ist nicht so, dass ich jetzt von ihm die Vibes kriege, dass er sagt, hier, Gott ist diese eine Person oder was auch immer, ne? Bei ihm kriege ich das so mit, dass Gott ist, was in uns selber, quasi wir selbst sind Gott. Und ich möchte noch was sagen. Was auch immer er jetzt hier gibt, das ist keine Anleitung oder so, oder ich sehe das nicht als Anleitung, das ist richtig oder falsch. Es ist halt seine Meinung beziehungsweise eine Ansicht. Und wenn ich hier zustimme oder sonst was, dann heißt das nicht, dass ich sage, eine andere Ansicht wäre falsch oder so. Ne? Ich kann aber mich hineinversetzen und das annehmen als das, was es ist. Ich wollte nur klarstellen.
winter is the season of letting go and surrender, whereas summer, the fire element, is the season of expression, doing things. And see, the key is we must understand how energy works. We must understand our own energy and understand the cycles of life. We go through phases of expansion and contraction, extroverted phases and introverted phases. And the problem is, if you are a fire and earth type, you will be upset when you go through a contraction phase because it is uncomfortable, it is unfamiliar to your energy. You just want to go, 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 expand, do more. Whereas if you're a water and air type, you might have difficulty taking action when it's time to take action. You might find yourself lacking motivation or desire, struggling to really push yourself outward. The key is we want to develop a relationship with life because, well, life is the most important thing. And if you don't become familiar with these cycles, you can find yourself struggling and suffering. Because life says go down, and you say go up. And life says go up, and you say go down. And you cut yourself off from the flow of
Das ist
life.
voll gut.
You become out of harmony and out of balance. If you learn to flow with life, ride the waves, my friend, you will find yourself on a nice upward trajectory. That is called a successful life. Yes, there will be ups and downs. You can't avoid it, and you wouldn't want to. But what does an unsuccessful life look like? You start off, life is good, and then over time, wow, you just couldn't figure it out. Miserable. You fall into a downward trajectory and just can't make it back up. Why?
Das war ich bisher.
Because when you are perpetually out of harmony with life, you enter into harmony with death. Life is bringing you up, death is bringing you down. And along the journey, you have many deaths and many lives, expansion and contraction. But both the life force and the death force are required for balance. If there's too much yin out of balance, too much yang, there will be pain. But once you understand your natural energy, you will know which areas of life to work on. And all you have to do to avoid this tragedy is to implement the opposite energy so you can return to balance. On a fundamental level, if you're extremely extroverted, your weaknesses will be the strengths of the introverts, and vice versa. So, one problem you might have is you have difficulty being alone. You want to be around others all the time. And so, your work is learning how to sit with yourself and be alone. And, well, the yin person could stay alone all day, every day for their whole life. All good. And so you kind of have to push yourself to go out and socialize with other people. Because until you integrate the opposite energy, you are going to remain imbalanced. And that is going to bring you closer to death. And the longer you're imbalanced, the worse it gets. And this is what I wish I knew a long time ago. Because I realized that no matter how hard I tried to force myself to do the right thing, it just wasn't happening. Because I was going against life. I was going against my natural energy. And the moment I started aligning my life with my personality, everything became effortless. And we have to remember, both paths are experienced at the same time. It's not one or the other. It's which one are you focusing on right now in this season of your life. You see, the moment I stopped trying is the moment I found success. And in certain cultures, people will say, you need to try hard, do better. Earth and fire dominated cultures. But if you're not an earth and fire type, it's not going to help you. It will allow you to build your earth and fire energy, learning how to wield it and bend it. But you will
Ja, wir haben so eine Erd- und Feuer-Gesellschaft in Deutschland. Absolut. Und Wasser und Luft, das ist tabu. Darunter fallen dann Situationen, Themen wie seelische Gesundheit. Davon gibt's hier gar nichts. Nicht ausgelegt dafür. Wie wenn du einen Haufen Leute hast in Rollstuhl, aber keine Rampen. Nur Treppen. Das macht so viel Sinn, was er sagt, gell? Das finde ich echt gut. Schauen wir mal, wie sehr wir das annehmen können.
will have tried to make your weaknesses your strengths before you made your strengths your strengths. In other words, your strengths are too weak, so it doesn't make any sense to try to develop your weaknesses. And that is why you struggle. It's like in a video game. You can't fight the greater boss until you level up, until you develop your skills. And once you become a more powerful human being, a more powerful master of the universe, you can easily develop your weaknesses. For example, I went all in on surrender, letting go, becoming free. I found freedom, and now it is effortless for me to do hard and difficult things because I'm completely in harmony with life, with the universe. So it's like I have the entire cosmos working through me, and I'm just along for the ride. Whereas from the worldly perspective, there is you struggling, trying to do better. From the inner spiritual path, there is no you. The earth and fire types like to swim upstream. The water and air types like to go with the flow. But my philosophy is, realize simply that you are one with the river. You are one with life. And whether or not you want to swim upstream or go down, it's your choice. Just different flavors of life. One is not good and one is not bad. But the spiritual types will naturally reject the worldly types. And the worldly types will naturally think the spiritual types are delusional. Because we judge others based off our own weaknesses. It's called shadow projection. We judge others so we don't have to face the weakness in our own selves. So we get to reinforce and stand on our strengths and avoid the hard work of dealing with our weaknesses. So be wary of that. In fact, what you judge is a great indicator of where there is work to be done. What kind of people trigger you? Or more specifically, what kind of energy triggers you? Because if you're a fire type, you're probably going fast, doing things, and you probably get annoyed with people who go with the flow. Because they're so relaxed, they're so at ease, they have no troubles in the world. Whereas you might always be doing things, and I need to get this done, and if I don't get this done, I'm going to be upset, and these people get in the way. Or if you're an earth type, you will probably find the air types like cowards. The earth types like to face life head on, face problems, be direct, be straight up. Whereas the air type will always avoid confrontation. Avoid.
Ja, ich bin ein Air-Type, aber ich hab mir selbst beigebracht, ein Erd-Type zu sein. Weißt du? Ich bin eigentlich eine Ultra-Pussy, aber ich habe mir selbst beigebracht, ein ultra harter Bastard zu sein. Ich kann auch anders. Aber meine Natur ist mehr so Friede, Freude, Eierkuchen. Weißt du? Das ist voll gut, dass er das so darstellt. Ich kann mich echt identifizieren.
Dealing with problems, kick things down the road. I guess it's a good time to emphasize the strengths and weaknesses of each element. Now, I haven't discovered a word for this yet, but it's essentially a four-way polarity. So a two-way normal polarity is like negative and positive. They're opposites, but this is like a four-way polarity. Each element has their opposite. So earth, the natural order of the elements, in the order in which they were created and made manifest in the world. First, there was air, then there was fire, then there was water, and there was earth. Return to air. One helpful way to understand your weaknesses and your strengths is the game rock, paper, scissors. This is just rock, paper, scissors with 4 pieces instead of 3. So what is rock? Seem familiar? What is paper? What is scissors? Let's look at it this way. You have the body, which is earth. You have the mind, which is water. And you have the spirit, which is fire and air. And so the way this manifests itself is interesting. The earth types are weak against the air types. The air types are weak against the fire types. The fire types are weak against the water types. Self-evident. The water types are weak against the earth types. And just a little side note, this will also determine your compatibility in relationships, because opposite types will get on each other's nerves. But they will also be attracted to each other, because the opposite energy compensates for each other's weaknesses. Now this is just a general blueprint. Everybody's unique. There will be outliers. If you're an earth type dominant, your auxiliary function, or your secondary element, will be fire. Kind of already discussed this. Your tertiary element will be water, and your inferior function will be air. If you've ever heard of the Myers-Briggs types, these terms will be familiar to you. Fundamentally, this is the foundation of personality. All personality is based on this. Of course, we've expanded it and made it more complicated, and this is also why astrology makes sense sometimes, because astrology is based on this.
Ich wollte schon sagen, das hat bestimmt was mit Sternzeichen zu tun. Alter.
My natural energy is water. I so happen to be a Cancer. A little crab. Just so happens to be accurate. I mean, I guess they had 1 out of 4 chance. Whereas you might see a Taurus, earth type, or an Aries, fire type. Only you shall know what is true for you. So as an earth type, you focus on your strength first, developing earth energy, handling it. Then you develop the fire energy, then you develop the water energy, then you develop, lastly, your air energy. So for instance, if your dominant energy is earth, you will be very grounded in the external world. You will be realistic, but perhaps later in life, you will see the value of surrender, of freedom, of letting go and being light, because the earth type has a lot of attachments, heaviness, and this is in a way a representation of our entire life cycle. The first part of life, the second, the third, and the fourth.
Ja.
Just, for example,
Weil man durchgeht diesen Zyklus, und ich kann mir vorstellen, dass manche Leute für immer in ihrem Ausgang bleiben. Aber irgendwann wandelt sich einfach etwas, weil du dann entweder, was auch immer ich jetzt sage, muss nichts bedeuten. Irgendwann hast du die Schnauze voll davon, das zu machen, da zu sein, wo du schon bist. Oder du meisterst es und kannst automatisch auf etwas anderes rübergehen. Und alles, was dazwischen noch funktionieren kann. Ein Wandel wird stattfinden. Und ey, das macht so viel Sinn alles hier.
In your life, by doing your duty, doing your responsibilities, working hard, even if you don't feel like it, then you might transition into doing what you're passionate about, doing what you love. Then you might transition into relaxing, taking it easy, not being so active all the time. And then you might finally transition into death and surrender and freedom. The different seasons of life. And this happens at a macro scale and a micro scale. And you can see this even in the daily cycle. Whereas around noon, when the sun is up and shining, everybody's most active, fire energy. That is when we are most energized. Whereas later in the day, we become more relaxed. And then at the end of the day, we become free. We let go, surrender into sleep. Once you begin paying attention to the natural energy of life, you can begin flowing in harmony with the cycles and stop struggling so much. If you're a dominant fire type, your inferior function will be water. Okay, I've guessed it, earth, air. Your strengths will be fire and earth. You'll be neutral toward air. I gotta think about this for a moment. If you're a fire type, hello Sparky. You might begin following your passion, doing what you love, really expressing yourself in the world and taking action. Then you might develop the ability to be responsible, do your duty, do what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it. This is a lot of action, so life will encourage you to learn how to rest, learn how to do nothing. And then lastly, learn how to flow and relax and not struggle and try so hard. You will be very good at struggling and trying really hard. And so in the end, going with the flow will be the most difficult habit to develop. If you're a water type like me, first you will want to learn how to relax and be at ease and go with the flow and learn how to rest. You find freedom. Then you begin following your passions, doing what you love, embarking on your life's purpose. And then finally you become grounded, practical, master your body. And I should note, all of these elements are being developed at the same time because all of these energies are all around us. So you might be developing a little bit here, or here, and here, and here. I'm making it sound like it's a linear process, but this is just a general blueprint. If you're a water type, you could also just start working on the earth. Start working out. Start taking care of your body. And it will bring some balance into your life. Just don't go all in on earth if you haven't developed these elements first. It all depends where you start. And lastly, the air types. Now, someone who is dominant in air energy, they may be really good at doing nothing. at not caring, at being detached, at being free. But then you want to condense that energy a bit. Learn how to flow like water. These people will probably be sensitive to energy, so they will be very good at flowing in harmony with life. And through this process of flowing, you find yourself down, grounded to earth, where you learn how to live practically in the world. You learn to become independent, because the air, which is the hyper-feminine element, is kind of like a support character, focusing on others, where at the earth stage, when you learn to be earthy, you can kind of stand on your own 2 feet, be grounded in your own wisdom, be the main character for once. And through this, you will develop naturally into living your dreams, your passions, what you love. And we have to understand that this process of wielding these different energies is about feeling. You will feel intuitively which elements are natural to you and which ones are not. And the more you kind of embark on this journey of self-discovery, you will get clear on your strengths and your weaknesses. So the trick is, use your strengths to develop your weaknesses, become aware of your dominant energy. Remember the yin-yang. If you're extroverted, you lean on this side of the equation. If you're introverted, you lean on this side. Also take into consideration the season of your life. You could be an air type and be in the earth or fire season of your life, which will require different things of you. And you see, in order to be successful in the earth stage, you must have proficiency at both air and water, or else you will not have the success you would like. But we can simplify things and just say, seek balance. If you're an air type, you know you're imbalanced toward fire. If you're an earth type, you're imbalanced toward air. If you're a water type, you're imbalanced toward earth. If you're a fire type, you're imbalanced toward water. And by integrating the personality traits, the tendencies, the habits of these different energies, you enter into harmony with the flow of life. And that is where you find great success. In the fall, you reap your harvest. In the springtime, you plant. In the summertime, the plants grow. And in the wintertime, things settle. There is a season of death. There is a season of life. There is a season of surrender, of harvest. Once you become familiar with the ways of life, you stop struggling against it. And that, my friend, is how you become a master of the universe. By first mastering you. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember.
Cool. Das war so logisch für mich, weil das einfach natürlich macht das Sinn. Das macht so natürlich Sinn. Ich weiß nicht, wie ich das erklären soll. Hammer. Richtig gut, Alter. Ja. Dieser ganze Weg ist so viel mit Spiritualität behaftet. Und Spiritualität ist unendlich. Also ist der ganze Weg unendlich. Krass.